The story opens inside an emergency call center where our main character, Jordan, works the night shift. Her job is to answer 911 calls and dispatch police officers to people who need help. One night, Jordan receives a call from a terrified little girl named Leah. She's crying uncontrollably, saying a strange man is trying to break into her house. Her mom and dad are out at the movies, and she can't reach them. Suddenly, the sound of glass shattering echoes through the call. The intruder has broken in. Jordan instantly switches to crisis mode. She talks to Leah calmly, traces her location, and alerts the nearest police unit to head to her home. Jordan tells Leah to run upstairs and lock herself inside a room. But Leah whispers that the door upstairs doesn't have a lock. So Jordan instructs her, "Okay, sweetheart, hide under the bed and don't make a sound." Leah follows the directions. The man enters the bedroom. He looks around, glances out the window, and sees shoes downstairs. Thinking someone ran to the lower floor, he rushes back down. Leah finally exhales. But then the phone rings loudly. The ringtone is so sharp that the intruder hears everything. He sprints back upstairs. The next moment, horrifying screams and crashing noises burst from Leah's end of the call. Jordan leaps up from her chair, frozen in shock, her breathing heavy and shallow. Her supervisor storms over, furious. "Why did you call her back? She was hiding. He wouldn't have found her if you hadn't called." Jordan tries to defend herself, saying she only wanted to help, but it's too late. Her mistake cost a life. The next morning, the news confirms Leah was murdered. Her body was recovered from the backyard. The moment Jordan hears it, she emotionally collapses. 6 months later, Jordan has been transferred to a different department. Now she trains new recruits on how to handle 911 calls and guide distressed callers to safety. During a real-time training session, she lets the new interns answer live calls. Suddenly, one of the trainees picks up a call and freezes. "Please help me, I've been kidnapped." The caller is a foreign girl named Casey, locked inside the trunk of a car by a ruthless kidnapper. She's sobbing uncontrollably. "He's going to kill me." The trainee tries tracking the call, but it's coming from a disposable phone, nearly impossible to trace. She panics and stutters. "We need more time. Please stay calm." Jordan immediately steps in and takes over. She asks Casey rapid-fire questions. "What color is the car? Can you hear road sounds? Any turns? Any clues at all?" Then she guides her. "Kick the trunk light. Try to break it so somebody behind you notices." Casey kicks the light and it starts blinking red. A driver behind them sees the suspicious flickering and calls the police, giving the license plate number. But the car belongs to an elderly woman, confirming it was stolen. Meanwhile, the kidnapper, Marco, realizes someone noticed and abruptly changes route. Jordan asks Casey, "Look around. Do you see anything? Signs, buildings, anything?" But Casey can't see clearly. Jordan asks, "What's inside the trunk with you?" Casey replies, "A paint can, a brush, tools, and a bottle of bleach." Jordan stiffens. When Casey then adds, "There's also a shovel. He's going to bury me alive." Jordan instantly steps in. "Casey, listen to me. Do exactly what I say." She tells her to spill the paint so the trail on the road can help police locate the car. Alan notices paint dripping from Marco's trunk and signals him, "Hey man, something's leaking from the back." Marco stops the car, checks the trunk, and realizes Casey is awake. Furious, he grabs a syringe, likely to sedate her again. Alan walks over. "Everything okay, buddy? Need a hand?" Marco forces a smile. "Nah, man, we're good. Thanks." But Alan knows something's wrong. He returns to his car and watches closely through his side mirror and sees Marco messing with something inside the trunk. Alan calls the police. Suddenly, Marco charges at Alan with the shovel and hits him with full force. The phone falls and shatters. Alan collapses, knocked out cold. Police arrive. Too late. By the time police track the signal, they find only an abandoned car. No people anywhere. Marco has already switched to a different vehicle, a black one. Inside the car, Casey trembles and whispers to Jordan that another man, the one from before, is lying unconscious in the back seat. That's when they hear Alan groaning faintly. He's still alive. Marco notices, pulls the car over, grabs a screwdriver, and gets out. He brutally stabs Alan repeatedly, leaving him lifeless on the roadside. It isn't just murder, it's a psychological message meant to terrify Casey. Casey is now emotionally shattered. She whispers to Jordan, hopeless, "If I don't make it, record this call and play it for my family." Jordan notices Casey has reached total despair and tries everything to keep her from giving up. At a desperate moment, Casey steals Marco's wallet out of his pocket so the cops can use the ID to trace him. But the new car doesn't have a tracker, killing another lead. At the gas station, Marco stops to refuel. Casey's phone battery is nearly dead. Time is running out. Then she gets a wild idea. While Marco is pumping gas, Casey climbs from the trunk into the back seat and begins waving frantically for help. A man at the gas station hesitates, confused, until Casey screams for help. Gathering courage, he pulls out a pocket knife and steps toward Marco. Marco loses his mind. He grabs the gas pump nozzle, points it at the man, and flicks a lighter. A massive fireball erupts. The man burns alive. Casey's last hope is gone. Marco knocks her unconscious again. From the evidence collected at the crime scene, the police managed to lift Marco's fingerprints, and from that, they finally identified him. They immediately conducted a raid on Marco's house. During questioning, his wife told the officers that he had gone to the hospital. While searching the house, the police discovered some photographs and a letter inside Marco's office. The pictures showed a blonde girl who looked exactly like Casey, and in the letter it said, "Sister, you never really left me. I could never lose you." It became clear that Marco shared some old, deep, and likely dark connection with that girl, tied to a tragedy. Meanwhile, Marco arrives at a small house in a different vehicle. He drags Casey out of the trunk and suddenly realizes her phone is still connected to the call. Jordan's voice comes through. "The police have identified you. They're already at your house. Surrender now, or the consequences will be severe." Marco answers with a twisted smirk. "It's too late for that now," and disconnects the call. Right then, Jordan makes a crucial decision. She reveals the truth she's been holding inside. The missing person case from 6 months ago and this current kidnapping are connected to the same man. She immediately informs the police so they can act before history repeats itself. Night grows darker, and the police arrive at the small house, but no one is inside. The place is completely abandoned. Jordan feels everything slipping through her fingers again. She blames herself. Her supervisor tries to calm her. "Go home and get some rest. The police will take it from here." The camera cuts, and the next scene dives straight into Marco's horrifying reality. Marco ties the girl to a chair. He runs his fingers through her hair and smiles, a twisted, obsessive, psychotic smile. His fascination with hair is sickening. The girl screams in terror, but she gets one chance. She pulls her self-defense spray from her bag and blasts it into Marco's eyes. Marco shrieks in pain, and Casey bolts out of the room. She rushes into another room, but the second she looks inside, her face completely changes. Something in that room rattles her soul. Suddenly, Marco kicks the door open and drags her back out. Elsewhere, Jordan keeps replaying the last audio from Casey's phone. By tracking the call's location, she reaches the same old house the police checked earlier. Inside, she finds dozens of photos of Marco's younger sister. The images make it painfully obvious. The girl suffered from a severe illness that caused all her hair to fall out, and that might be where Marco's obsession with hair began. As Jordan walks outside, she hears a disturbing sound from under the floor. She kneels down and finds a broken phone piece near a concealed door. She enters, but there's no cell service. Instead of calling the police, she decides to keep searching. Slowly, she approaches a room and hides behind a wardrobe. Inside, Marco is seen smelling and gently stroking what looks like a woman's skin. Jordan is horrified. It all clicks. Marco never recovered from his sister's death, and he murdered every blonde girl who reminded him of her. Suddenly, he notices a blue stain on the strand of hair in his hand. He thinks it's ruined and angrily throws it aside. At that exact moment, he almost spots Jordan, but because of the darkness and narrow space, she remains hidden. Meanwhile, Casey is still tied to the chair, screaming, while Marco begins cutting into her skull, with no anesthesia. Just then, Jordan bursts into the room and hits Marco from behind, knocking him to the ground. But she makes a fatal mistake. She focuses on untying Casey instead of finishing him. Marco suddenly gets up again, grabs Jordan, and slams her to the floor. He drags her into the bathroom and forces her head underwater in the sink. Jordan gasps and struggles. She's seconds from blacking out when Casey musters every ounce of courage and stabs Marco from behind. But the stab isn't deep enough. Marco charges again. Jordan and Casey run, desperately fighting for their lives. Then, seizing a split-second opening, Casey turns and shoves Marco with everything she has. His head crashes into the wall, and he collapses, unconscious. Sometime later, when Marco finally wakes up, he is tied to the same chair he used for every one of his victims. Casey stands in front of him with a cold, emotionless smile. She says, Now you get to feel what you made others go through. For the first time, fear floods Marco's eyes. Casey steps closer and says, I'm going to leave you right where all your sins began. And Casey and Jordan walk out of the house, leaving behind a place that will never again be called a home, only a nightmare. And that is where the movie ends, with a chilling silence and a lesson. When madness becomes chained to memory, a human can turn into a monster.